Hello and welcome to the Familial Paradox podcast. If you're tuning in for another episode, we are really honored to have you here. And like we have talked about before, this podcast is for helping equip parents in the realm of internet safety, helping equip parents in the realm of predator awareness and grooming and trafficking, how to keep your kids safe. And so when I first thought of doing these episodes where I'm having conversations with people, I thought, okay, who are some people I can have that'll help parents in different ways? And so I've got someone here that is, I would call an expert. He doesn't call himself an
I wouldn't
expert.
go that far.
But, so we're going to talk about today, the episode, and you've probably seen the title of it, but we're going to be talking about situational awareness for teenagers in particular. But it can really go for, any age child, I'm sure. But parents who have kids who are getting to that teenager age, or, you're approaching it, or maybe you're already there, and maybe you hear what we're going to talk about today and you're thinking, oh man, I never did any of those things. Well, today's the day. Today's the day to start. There's no day like today. So my guest with me today, a legend in his own right. I'm here with Keith. He works with us with shepherds and here locally in Pensacola called The Rescue. So if you will, while we're talking about situational awareness, if you could give us a little bit of background on yourself.
I'll a little bit, I guess I can do that.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to join you on a podcast. I'm going to give some forewarning. This is my very first podcast, not only that I've been on, but maybe that I've watched in a long time. I'm a senior citizen. But my name's Keith. I am a retired DEA agent. I spent 30 years with the DEA, 12 years of that in South America. When I retired, I started volunteer with Call to Rescue Ministries and Search and Rescue, and we focus, as you've indicated, on searching for missing and exploited children. But this is kind of a passion, and fortunately, some of my parenting experiences, I believe, has turned out positively for my own daughter,
Yeah.
who I started very late in life as a parent. I didn't get married until I was 38,
Okay.
so I was much older as my daughter was growing up, and over half of her life we spent in South America. So when we talk about situational awareness and
Oh, yeah.
parenting responsibilities, it takes on a whole new light when you're outside the United States, where you don't have a real 911 response and things like that. So hopefully I can share something that will be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I didn't tell you I was going to do this because it just came to my mind. That's what podcasts are, I guess. But so you spend a lot of time in South America. So I want to hear I know you've got a lot. I know we talk about food a lot. Number one food, South America, that if you could order it up right now and it's right here on this table, what would we be eating?
Well, I was in Peru, so Peru is kind of known for its cuisine.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's ranked up there with the French and Italian cuisine, but it's very diverse depending on where you are on the coast or in the mountains or in the jungle. But if I had to pick right now, it would probably be lomo saltado con taku taku, which is
Okay.
a sautéed beef, pepper, and onion in like a rich brown sauce.
Oh, yeah.
And then the taku taku is actually rice, beans, and a cornmeal that they put together in like a fried pancake.
Oh, my goodness.
Very tasty if you get a
That
chance.
sounds good. And if there's anything that me and Keith agree on is that if you have spent all of your life in, the United States and the only rotisserie chicken you've had has been Walmart or Sam's or Costco, you don't know good rotisserie chicken.
Nope.
When you go to South America, man, they do it right. So to get into the topic of the day, right? Situational awareness for just parents and kids. Situational awareness that parents can teach to their kids.
Right.
Right? Because there's times that, depending on the parent watching, you may let your kids go to sleepovers, or you may let your kid go with their friends to the mall or whatever. Or maybe you're the parent that doesn't do that. Either way, situational awareness, even if you're there or not, is useful in my mind. So let's start off from the beginning. Let's build a foundation here of if it is a parent that has young kids that have not even reached 13, have,
Right.
maybe they're 10, 11, 12 or younger. What is, a plan that the parents can start maybe teaching younger kids in a realm of situational awareness as they get to 13 to prepare them for when they're going and hanging out with friends or at the park or whatever?
Right. Well, the thing about situational awareness, it's really a common sense approach of just being aware, if you will, of what's occurring around you. We all do it. It's a natural instinct. As an example, let's say if you go to the park and you're walking with your child in a park, you stay away from the dog that is barking and growling at
Hmm.
you, but you might approach the dog that is laid on his back with his tail wagging and he wants someone to pet him, right?
Hmm.
So if you take that the idea that you avoid something that you perceive as a threat, and you aren't alarmed by something that isn't.
Yeah.
A parent needs to start that at a very young age. Obviously, you tell your child, don't pet the dog that's barking and snapping at you.
Yep.
It's the same thing as they develop that you can start to do that around people as well. You start to read the norm, or what is the norm in a situation, whether it be in public or in school or in a store. What should something look like? And you have to talk to them. I mean, like I said, I didn't get married until I was 38. I had my daughter almost at 40. 12 years of her life we spent overseas.
Yep.
And when we're in an overseas environment, you look at things very differently than you do in the United States. You
Yeah.
know, you don't have the benefit of 911 immediately showing up.
Sure.
You don't know what's going to happen. So I taught my daughter probably to nauseum. You know, she called me a helicopter parent. I mean, well, I was there,
Yeah.
but how to be cautious of what's going on around you. Be aware if someone's following you. Be aware of the crowd that you're in. How does the baseline, if you will, in a crowded situation change from happy-go-lucky to tense to riot? You know, in an
Right.
overseas
Yeah.
area, that things can change out on the street very quickly. So you can take that and bring it back to a smaller approach to things by teaching your children when you're out and walking around in public. You go into a grocery store, you go into a 7-Eleven. What should you expect to see, right? You expect to see people shopping, interaction between people and a clerk,
Yeah.
people looking at, at items to buy. But if you walk into a 7-Eleven and there's no one in sight, or people are laying on the floor,
Yeah.
or if the cashier has his hands in the air,
Right.
this is outside the baseline and outside the
Sure.
norm. And this is where you don't become curious. You turn and move,
Remove
away
yourself.
from the
Yep.
situation. So there's a lot involved in instilling that into a small mind. But if you start young with that scenario, if we're in the park, you don't approach the snapping dog or the barking dog.
Yeah.
Same thing. If you're in the street, you don't approach the person that might make what we call the spidey senses on the back of your neck stand up.
Right.
Trust what's going on in
Oh, yeah.
in the feelings that you have, and don't be upset or feel embarrassed that, hey, I don't want to talk to that person because of a certain ethnic background or a certain way they dress or a certain thing. It's like, if it doesn't make you feel right, then avoid it,
Right.
right?
Right. So, I think the thing that stands out to me to what you were talking about is I think kids can kind of get caught up sometimes in that curiosity.
Absolutely.
Something out of the norm happens, and one of two things: they either get curious, which draws them into the situation, unfortunately, or they get the deer in the headlights. So, and that goes for anybody. Anybody can get the deer in the headlights. It's not just kids, but you freeze. And,
Right.
but the thing that Keith teaches our team, and the thing that our team knows is that when you get into these situations, you have to be able to feel when the temperature is rising, and you remove yourself.
Correct.
That's not when you batten down and get ready to fight or whatever. You remove yourself when while you still can, right? I guess is
Sure. So you're seeing what is occurring, and you're able to act upon it before it becomes problematic. So if you're looking at a situation 50 feet in front of you, it gives you time and safety as space, right? So if you
yeah,
have the time to react to something, if you're walking into the store, you're starting to look through the windows of the store before you ever open the door to walk
sure,
inside.
yep,
So that's everything in life. Look ahead at what is going on around you. Teach kids to keep their heads up and out of their phones.
yep,
I would say that we were in Peru 2010 to 2016,
okay,
where my daughter was age 10 to age 16, which is very impressionable,
yeah,
time
yeah,
in
for
teenagers'
sure,
lives. In the United States, all the kids had smartphones and everybody's involved in social media. My daughter absolutely had a phone,
yeah,
but she did not have, it wasn't a smartphone, so
mm-hmm.
she didn't have internet access, but we had communication capabilities and more so for me, tracking capabilities
Absolutely.
so that she could call, make emergency calls, call anybody she wanted, and I could monitor that phone through a number of various means that we had
Yeah.
overseas, not only Life
Yeah.
360, but she had that. And then when she came back, when we moved back to the United States, she was 16, uh, back into going into high school, which would have been her junior year. And like the first day she came home from school, she goes, Dad, I don't know what's going on with these kids. They're absolutely crazy. I was like, well, what do you mean? She goes, they're involved in so much social media bullying and cliques and
Right.
stuff that she didn't experience in the school that she was
Yes.
attending in Peru. But, and I think the social media, the computer access to all of that
Hmm.
without parental supervision, without oversight, causes a lot of problems, as we well know, with kids being
Absolutely.
groomed and everything else.
Absolutely. And that's part of the reason of this podcast. That's part of our ministry. I teach parents on internet safety and kind of like, hey, you might want to wait a little later, but if you just have to give your kid a phone at 10 or 11, I don't approve it. But if you just have to, because some parents they act like I've just got to get them a phone. I tell them the no, text and call,
Yep.
right? They don't need social media.
No, absolutely.
And so do you think, um, and this may be getting in the weeds a little bit, but do you think there is a way that parents, or an efficient way, that parents could teach their children, young or old, to watch for what we would call pattern of life? So the
The,
whole what you're talking
the
about.
baseline.
Yes. When as soon as you get into an area, stepping out of your vehicle, getting a pattern of life, is there a way, if an efficient and effective way, do you think that parents could teach their kids that, other than saying, hey, watch the people around
Sure.
you?
I think the biggest thing is example. If the parent is not doing it for themselves and for their family when they're out, and the child does not see their parent doing that, they're not going to live up to that
Right.
instruction.
Right.
So, my overseas experience, I was a DEA agent, so I
Yep.
was in a source country. So there was hostile environment, if you
Yep.
will. So I was hyper conscious of what was going on around me for my own safety because of the job that I had.
Yeah.
But then that intensified when my family was with me.
Yeah.
So I always practiced wherever we would go, wherever I stopped. I sat in the car for a good 10 seconds before we even got out of the vehicle, look around, and I would, say, look good to you, to my
Yeah.
wife. And it got to a point where I'd say to Ryan, look good to you, good to go,
Yeah.
type of thing.
That's good.
So if your parent isn't practicing it so that their child can see it and follow that example, it's going to be difficult for them just to pick it up.
Yeah.
All right. It's got to start
Absolutely.
young. And it's followed through with my daughter now. She's 26 years old,
Yeah.
and she is alert. She talks to me all the time about, hey, Dad, just want to let you know that I pulled in to get gas the other day, and I decided to drive to a different one because I didn't like the way things looked.
Great.
Good call.
Absolutely. Great.
But example, and you don't have to be a spy. You don't have to be,
Yeah.
living on, Hong Kong Fooey, jumping around
Yeah.
and
Getting
looking
ready to
for
karate
the
chop somebody all
danger
the
of
time. Yeah.
everything. Not everything's a danger. But you have those senses. The parents have those senses. You recognize what is scary, what potentially is, man, I just don't like the way that looks.
Right.
Why would you walk, as an example, human beings are the only animal in the God's kingdom
Yeah. Yeah.
that will see something that they perceive as a natural threat and will walk up to it anyway. An
True.
animal won't do that. Animals are always conscious and looking for what's going on. If it's a physical threat or potential threat,
Yeah.
they go the other
Yeah.
way. But an adult, male, female, in a building at night by yourself, the elevator doors open, and
Mm-hmm.
inside the elevator is one or two individuals all by themselves, and you get that sense, that spidey senses, if you will. It's like, yeah, but you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings.
Yeah.
So I'm going to get into an elevator and let that door close where I already feel uncomfortable, and there are two people or one person in there that gave you that feeling.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Absolutely.
So you have to teach your children, trust your instincts. If something doesn't seem right, just turn and walk the other way and let them know you'll support them, whatever that decision is.
Yeah.
If it happens somewhere, the neighbor comes over and says, I just want you to know that your child was very disrespectful to me. Well, really? Well, what happened? Well, I tried to stop and talk to them in the street the other day, and they just turned and walked away. Well, have you ever met my child? Do they know you? You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're doing what I've taught them to do.
That's perfect. Yeah, and
So
that is the thing. The parent, you model it, and then you have to support your kid.
right,
I think even a good part of it is what you're talking about. You got to the point where you started asking her as well, not just
involve
your
her.
wife. What do you think? I think it would be good. Obviously, I'm a people watcher, so I watch people naturally anyway. But train, teach your child to come to you as a parent. Not out loud in the middle of the Walmart. Hey, this person look. Teach
Yeah,
them. Hey, bring it down.
bring it
Wait,
down. Be
what?
civil.
Wait till we get in the car. If something's truly seems, off and dangerous, have some kind of signal between you and your kids. That's a really good tip, by the way. Have a signal, have a
Yep.
phrase, whatever it is.
And again, ours was amplified because we were overseas for so
Sure.
long. But we have a visible hand signal.
Yep.
We have an audible,
Yep.
and then a written, like if there was a text message or something,
Yeah.
some type of a code word, if you will, that only you and your child know. That they give you that code word, and you know that there's something wrong.
Right.
And then also, because I worked down there, we had partner groups, law enforcement that we worked with. She didn't know all of the Peruvian National Police officers that I worked with,
Right.
but if she was in a scenario and I sent someone to go get her,
Yeah.
there was like a password, if you will,
Yeah.
and if that person doesn't know what the password is,
Yeah.
then
Sure.
they're not friendly,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's like the old military,
Yeah.
challenge and response type
Yeah.
of question.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing about parenting, is be a parent.
Yeah.
Be there, be involved in that child's life. Don't just push them off onto their computer or their iPad as
Oh,
a
yeah.
as a babysitting technique, so that you don't have to spend that time with them. If you're not willing to invest the time with them, you're going to see an adverse impact later on in life.
Yeah.
And but playing the the what if games. Hey, we're sitting here in the car waiting for mom to come out of the grocery store. So look around. What do you see?
Yeah.
Well, nobody. There's someone sitting in that car that's been there ever since we showed up. Ah, that's pretty good. I didn't
Yep.
see that one. Good call.
Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
What's going on over there? I don't know. There's just 5 people standing on the corner. Well, what are they doing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, would you go up and ask them what they were doing? No. Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why interject yourself into something that you perceive
Yeah.
as potential problematic?
Yeah. I think a good, yes, I think that's awesome to have that dialogue with your kids. And I know I teach that, having an open, honest dialogue with social media and stuff, but in this regard, it's not a teaching like, oh, I've told you this, now we're never going to talk about it again. It's an ongoing thing. And have your kids, what did you notice? All these things. I think that is phenomenal. I think a real world story we were doing a search. I don't remember where we were. We were in some city. Who knows? But I think we were in Pensacola, actually, if I remember correctly. But it was it was maybe my second year in working with you guys. And we had, I won't put their names out there, but
Yeah, no
we
names.
were, it was me and two other guys. And we were tasked with going to a particular grocery store that was in an area that was highly gang affiliated, and going into that grocery store and seeing if one of our missing kids were in there. And I, 2 years in, had, listen, Keith, I tell him this all the time. I'm like, man, my world has changed since I've learned from you. I tell him I've learned a lot. And he's like, well, I don't have much to teach. Y'all are hearing. This is proof. Recorded, 4K, caught in 4K.
Too kind.
But either way, we were walking in. I know it's a gang affiliated area. I know we're kind of on high alert, all these things. Me and two other guys, we pull up. Me and our team lead, we walk around and we notice out front of this particular grocery store, there were about 5 dudes standing out there that were clearly gang affiliated. You know how they like hang out on the corner and stuff. And it was one of those grocery stores that has the sidewalk with the pillars, so you can walk under the roof, right? And there's a wall, and then you walk into the open doors. The third person that was with us, who shall not be named, decided, instead of walking with us, I saw those people standing there and I walked around them, tried to avoid them. I don't want any conversation, and stuff. And we may have had I can't remember if we had our Shepherd's logo on or whatever. We didn't want to draw attention to ourselves.
Right.
So I'm avoiding those guys. I don't want to, they're there with nothing to do. And that's something to look for. You got people in an area with just nothing to do, you might want to look out for that.
Right.
But this particular, our third guy, decided he was going to walk between those guys and the wall. And so it was basically they're standing there on the edge of the sidewalk and there's a wall and there's a little walkway there. He decided he's going to walk between them and the wall. Situational awareness failure right there.
Right.
Do not do that. And immediately, as soon as he got into their, what they would consider their bubble, their area, and got the wall between them, they turned and started pressing him. About you're not from this neighborhood. Should we shake you down? Should we check your pockets? All that
Right.
stuff. And so then we had to engage, because we're not no man left behind, right? And we had to engage and kind of talk that situation down. But after that, I was like, dude, what are you thinking?
Well, there's this whole background of situational awareness studies. There's a color code that Colonel Jeff Cooper back in the days gave different levels of caution, of heightened awareness, which is something you necessarily need to talk to your kids about, but quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you've got white. White is the lowest level. White is when you're sitting in your house in your pajamas and there's nothing going on.
Yep.
Then you've got yellow. Yellow is a little step up in awareness. That's when you leave your house and you should be aware of what's around you, people approaching you or something to that effect.
Yep.
Then it goes to orange. Orange is you're out in public or somewhere that you have now seen something that causes you concern,
Right.
that you have time now to move away from
Yeah.
or leave the area. And then there's red, which means that threat has now just occurred and you've got to react to it. So, white, yellow, orange, red, the color codes, and you can't live running around in orange and
In
or
red.
red, especially at any time. But white, the only time you should be like that is when you're at home with your
Exactly.
doors locked.
Yep.
Your children should be the same way. They should be comfortable at home. They could stay in the white, but they should be aware enough that when they leave the house, whether they're with you or not, that there's a reason to be aware. And that's because there is true evil in the world.
Absolutely.
And you were talking about the people standing on the corner. We have this thing that's just called presence with a purpose.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a group of people that are standing on the corner, let's just use the old movie, the 55-gallon drum and the fire and the 55-gallon drum.
Sure.
And if they're sitting around the drum and they're singing doo-wop songs,
Yeah.
that might be pretty cool to go,
Sure.
see what's going on.
Yeah.
But if they're just sitting there smoking and joking on the corner, presence with purpose, they have no purpose, and you should not inject yourself in their
Absolutely.
environment whatsoever,
Absolutely.
especially children.
Absolutely. Because most times those people that are there without purpose and they're just kind of hanging around the neighborhood or whatever, as soon as what we mentioned earlier, the pattern of life, as soon as you insert yourself, you are breaking that pattern of life.
Right.
And immediately everybody's looking at you. And you don't want that.
Nope.
You don't want that for your child either. So I think that's a super good foundation. And my next question that we can think about here is, so let's move to teenage, specifically teenage years, maybe even closer to like driving, 15, 16, 17,
Right.
18. Do you think there's, obviously there's differences in, when you're teaching a boy, a male, or a female, because, females as they go off into college and everything might need to, be a little more situationally aware at certain times,
Right.
right? Because, the statistics don't lie. They're most times are the victims are female. Now, that does not mean that boys and males are not victims of this stuff. It happens.
Occurs, sure.
Absolutely.
But the statistics show you that it's young women.
But yeah, so when you get to that 15, 16, 17 age, what do you think is some different things, some more, as they're driving and they're going out by themselves and all these things, like for instance, the gas station thing, that's perfect.
Right.
You need to pull up to the pump, look around, trying to feel it out. And if you don't feel like it's right, drive to the
on.
next one.
Yeah.
So like what would be some more age appropriate as we're getting older that you think parents might could teach?
Yeah, I think, again, you can't just start teaching this when they get their driver's license.
Sure.
Right? This has to start much younger so that they kind of flows into it and that levels of activity increases as they
Yeah.
get older, right? So when they're sitting in the back of in the kid's seat in the back of your car, and you've got that primary responsibility, their situational awareness doesn't have to be
Right.
as much, but you can still talk them through that, right?
Right.
Once they're out on their own in the rebellious teenage years,
Yeah.
I mean, they're looking to experience life, spread their
Sure.
wings a little more. So if you haven't instilled, situational awareness, a moral compass,
Yeah.
and all of
Absolutely.
that to begin with,
Yeah.
it's going to be difficult to start at
Right.
16
Yeah.
years
No.
old.
Yeah. It's not the
But
time to start
no,
for sure.
exactly. But if they are out on their own, again, the whole idea is this baseline of what's going on around you, and it's everywhere: gas station, street, in your car. Teaching them the purpose of not only the safety belt, but why locking a door is important.
Yeah.
How staying out of certain streets
Yeah.
areas are important.
Yeah.
But it's a level of consciousness that they just need to pay attention to, and it's not on their phone,
Hmm.
right? I mean, everybody is stuck on those phones,
Yeah.
sadly. I mean, my mom's 94 years old,
Yeah.
and although she doesn't have an iPhone, her Kindle is now,
She on it.
it's like
Yeah.
that didn't exist, right?
I tell people, when I do my trainings, which I don't teach situational awareness, but I wave top a little bit for parents. The whole not being on your phone, walking from wherever you're going to your car. And what I tell them is I'm like, do you know what you look like when you're doing that? You look like a victim.
Exactly.
And whoever's out there with if there is anybody out there with nefarious
Right.
intentions, you are the person they're going to go after versus someone who's walking around looking,
Well,
paying
and
attention. So,
that's there are scientific studies or investigation studies, if you will, and their interviews of offenders, uh, rapists, robbers,
yeah,
burglars, and what are they looking for? What are they paying attention
right.
to? And one of the top ones is they're looking for someone by themselves that's not paying attention to what's going on and that doesn't present themselves to be a threat.
Yeah,
So if you put all three of those together, you've got a victim,
yeah,
right?
absolutely.
You can't always be at the wrong place or always in the right place. So, but if you're in the wrong place, your eyes are open and you're not dug into your phone, and you're walking with a purpose
Yeah,
from store exit to your vehicle and not serpentining in and out of vehicles, but you're
sure,
doing a direct, got your keys in your hand and you're ready to get in that car and go.
sure.
If you're walking out of the store and all you're doing is this and not paying attention to what's around you,
Yeah,
that you've now hit two of the three
yeah,
targets. They're somewhere out in public,
yeah,
maybe in a parking lot, maybe no one's watching, they're not paying attention. So, and the third one is she's a female, she's small in stature, no one's around,
yep,
simple, easy target.
yeah,
So always, I told my daughter again, it started early, but stay off the phone until you're in a locked car. When you get in the car, the first thing you do is lock it,
yep,
right? Before you get out of the car, before you unlock it, you're looking around. Is this
yeah,
look like a safe place for me
yep,
to get out of the car,
yep,
right? Is the white van with three guys parked in it right next spot over? Maybe you should move your vehicle,
yep,
right?
yep,
So it's it's a very simple thought process. It's hard for many people to put it in action
yes,
because we get so involved with what's going on in our lives that I got to get in there and grab this from the store.
yeah,
So I'm just going to park me, run in. Well, that's when things happen, right?
yeah,
So take that extra. I would train, if nothing else, if you can't teach your kids this when they're driving, is when they go somewhere and stop, is to sit in that car for 5 to 10 seconds,
yeah,
take a breath, and just look around.
yeah,
That would eliminate a lot of problems. And
yeah,
if they see something that's not right, don't get out.
yeah,
Move to another lit part of the parking lot.
right,
Move to go to a different store. What is the baseline? Are people pouring out of the Target with their arms in the air and screaming? Well, that's not the time to go into Target, right?
for sure.
If it's 5 minutes from closing and you see them at the door trying to close the door, maybe that's not the time if there's nobody else in the parking lot. You don't want to be that sole person walking out to your car.
Sure, absolutely.
But parental engagement with their kids, regardless of the age, is what's going to keep them safe.
Yeah,
And that's being an example, talking to them, starting young, not scaring, but explaining to them,
yeah,
why are we going over there and petting that dog? Let me pet
yeah,
that dog. Let me pet that
yeah,
dog,
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
that dog's a bear, honey.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
not petting the bear,
Yeah, I've seen that
right?
video.
That video is hilarious.
Yeah.
The children have no concept. So whose responsibility is it to stop them from petting that dog?
Sure,
It's the
absolutely.
parent,
It's the parent.
right? And so a situational mindset is nothing but a positive thing for you and for your child. And this whole thing was different from my generation, obviously,
Right.
but this is now. I mean, turning 65, and I live off of this thing now too.
Yeah, for audio, he's holding
But
up his phone.
oh, sorry, phone.
No, no, just you're
Holding up
good.
my phone.
You're good.
But that is also our worst tool in our children's lives in many
Oh,
ways.
absolutely.
I know that when we got back to the United States, once my daughter, she didn't get internet access on her phone, a
Hmm.
smartphone, until she was 16.
Yep.
And I still didn't allow her to take it into her room at night.
Yeah,
There's a
which is
charger
good.
in the kitchen.
Which is
You
good.
charge your phone in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and we know where it is.
Honestly, and this is getting off topic, but I've been doing something recently where if I'm not working and somebody might call me about something or whatever while I'm sleeping, I've been leaving my phone plugged up outside of my bedroom just because I think that's beneficial for anyone. Just especially if you're married and all these things, but especially your children. Because if you get into a situation where, say, your child has been reached out to by a groomer or a predator online, and they have their phone 24/7 in their room at night,
Right.
they're in there talking to that person and building relationship, and you have no idea.
Yep.
But with the with what we've been talking about just paying attention for the parents, like you said, you don't just pick it up day one. It takes practice, and I think it takes intentionality. But yeah, we had this was 2 years ago. We had some of the college students down here in Pensacola come volunteer with us, and it was one of those times where Brad was like putting one of us with four college students and going to pass out flyers
Right.
and teaching them how to do the talking and how to be security mindset and keep safe and keep somebody in the car, that whole deal. And I'll never forget that it kind of taught something to me is we went into some hotels and there was this one particular college aged girl that was with us, and she didn't really have any interest in doing the talking. She didn't have any interest in driving. So I was like, all right, you're going to watch the door. And obviously I was watching the door as well, but I'm there with the people talking. And I put her with that. And she kind of obviously she's watching for security, but she kind of wanted a little bit of like an assignment, if you will. And so I told her, I was like, well, to me, when we go into every hotel, I want you, because we were going into some,
Some
sketchy
sketchy
hotels.
hotels, right?
And I told her, I was like, by the time we get back in the car and go to the next hotel, I want you to tell me how many cameras, when we walked in, how many cameras are in the room, where they're pointing, if you can tell, right?
Right.
Sometimes they have that little dome on them and you can't tell. But tell me how many cameras are in there, and then we'll talk about it. I'll never forget when we got done that day, she came up to me and she was like, I have never noticed so many things in the background. Like there's so many things that are going on in the background, and just by looking at the cameras, she had the job to find the cameras.
Right.
Um,
It breaks those blinders
yeah,
of looking at nothing but what's directly in front of you.
yeah,
So once you stop that locked, focused forward, and you actually start looking
yeah,
around, it'll
yeah,
be amazing
yeah.
what you can see.
Yeah, so teaching kids to maybe like every time you go out, especially when it's young, like having it as like a little assignment, if you will,
Right.
being like, hey, by the time we get back in the car, I want you to tell me something that didn't look normal, and
Okay.
then you're getting their mind in that headspace
Excellent.
to start thinking about those things. And then the big thing with the parents is when you've like we said, you got to support them. When they tell you that thing, it's like, oh, that's they may come to you with something crazy, right? Something that isn't necessarily what we'd be looking for, but like, somebody left a pack of ham in the vegetable aisle. Well, it's like, okay, that is out of the ordinary, but not necessarily danger related,
Right.
right? But good, like gold star for you
Good.
that you saw it.
Good catch.
So, you know, so uh, so I had this thought pop into my mind, and this is kind of a niche thing. But what Rachel and I run into is there's a subset of people that are highly susceptible to predators and people who want to rob and stuff. And it is moms with babies who, say the dad's working or whatever, and they're going to do groceries, and the mom is putting child in car seat with nobody watching their back. Is there any advice that you would have for those moms in particular, to maybe kind of cut some of that off? Because I've heard that before, and
Sure.
they do look for that.
Right.
Not to scare anyone, but they do look for that. You are preoccupied, and your baby might be fighting you to get in that car seat.
And there's very little you can do about not taking your focus away from your child,
Right.
right? So I
So,
think, and something to that is obviously pick the time and place for when you're going to be shopping.
right.
So if you're shopping at 9 o'clock at night,
Not,
in
yeah.
a store that's about to close, you're making a mistake,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So you want to be a daylight, popular public area, a lot of activity,
Right.
people moving in and out of the parking lots. But if you're pushing a stroller, you've got to get your child from the stroller into the car seat, then the stroller broken down and put in the trunk.
Yeah.
Then you have to walk around and get in the car. So the big thing is if you should have your head on a swivel as well. So
Absolutely.
your child is in the stroller, or you're carrying your child. Pay attention to what's in front of you as you approach your car. Look on both sides of your vehicle. Is there someone parked that's and their vehicle's occupied beside you? Are there multiple people in a car?
Right.
But look in your car.
Yeah.
Make sure your car door is locked when
Right.
when you leave. As you're approaching your car, instead of hitting the button twice and unlocking all four doors, hit it once. Open your driver's door, and then you can look around and see if there's anybody around. Then you unlock the door to put your child in the car.
Right.
Secure the door before you start moving around, so that there's some separation and some division between the child and anybody on the outside.
Right.
But that's a very vulnerable point. I
Yeah.
mean, it happens thousands of times a day all over the place.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest thing is that if you see something and it causes you pause, I mean, the mother's responsibility is the protection of that child, right?
Absolutely.
And uh, take advantage of what society gives you as a woman, and that's an ability to say, hey, this isn't right. No one's going to pick on me because I didn't go get in my car. Turn around and walk back in the store.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with asking a bag boy or a manager or someone, would you walk out to the car with me, please?
Yeah.
I've got to put my child in the car, and there's three guys sitting in the car next to me. I can guarantee you there's not a male employee of a grocery store that wouldn't walk out to the car
Absolutely.
with you.
Absolutely. And sometimes the grocery stores nowadays have like security guards, or
True.
if you're at a mall, they have security
Right.
guards.
Trust your instincts. Again, this is
Absolutely.
that thing that humans are the only ones that will put themselves knowingly in harm's way. An animal in nature will never do that.
Yeah.
So forget about not hurting someone's feelings. I don't want to get in that elevator because this person looks a certain way.
Right.
I'm not comfortable getting in a 6 foot by 6 foot cube, by myself with someone. I'm going to say, hey, I'll catch the next one. Thank you. Or
Yeah.
turn around and walk away. But trust your instincts. I mean, everybody has them.
Yeah.
And if your child's involved, then you have a parental responsibility to keep that child safe. And one way to do that is for you to be aware of what's going on around you.
Yeah. And I think there's also this thought, with some parents that they're always in a rush and timing is important, and oh, bedtime's coming up, or I've got to be at this dinner or something like that. It's like, look, your safety, your child's safety, far more important than you trying to push something
Right.
that your mind and your gut is telling you something's off. Go back in the store, call your husband, call whoever, and hey, something's weird. I'm gonna be late. And most people should be okay with that.
I don't think anyone would have a problem with that if you told them, hey, something wasn't right,
Yeah.
or I didn't feel safe,
Yeah.
and I had to wait for someone to walk me out to my car.
Right.
If anyone gives you a hard time about that, then you need to reassess that friendship.
Right. Yes.
I mean,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's very sad, but we live in a society and have for a long time where there are
Yeah.
bad, evil people in the world.
Yeah.
And my wife, she's probably my most difficult person to get involved in situational awareness. In Peru, South America, she got it.
Yeah.
Because there were certain threats and
Yep.
work that I was doing and environment. Here, she's very comfortable. I can call 911. Where in Peru,
Yeah.
there wasn't a 911. You weren't sure someone was going to show up.
Sure.
But so she fights me on it. Forgot where I was going to go with that train of thought.
No, no worries.
Sorry.
So I think two things that I was thinking of as you're listing these things. Obviously, watching the people around you, but and I know this might make it a little more difficult for a mom because of spacing, but parking the side of your car that has the car seat lined up with a cart return so no one can come up from behind you. I mean,
Very
they
smart. Yeah.
still could, but it lowers the percentage, right?
Right. Again, that's putting a barrier between you
Yes.
and a potential threat.
Yes.
The cart, a median.
Yes.
If you're able to get the parking space that's the closest to the store, and your
Yeah.
doors, you park in a manner that your open doors face the building so that
Yep.
anyone standing in the building can see your car.
Yep.
Take some patience, maybe some extra time to look for that spot.
Yeah.
But if you're parking yourself lodged in between two vans that you don't know who's in there,
Yeah.
that's not
Yeah.
using situational
I always
awareness.
tell Rachel, and Rachel, when we first got married, she would make fun of me for this, and I would do it not necessarily for situational awareness, but just because I I would take the far parking spot because I've
Mm-hmm.
always driven a F-150. I'm not trying to squeeze in these spots just to save a couple extra steps. I'm okay walking, but if a mom is alone and you've got this child in a car seat and you're trying to squeeze in right up front, and you got these cars and all this stuff, maybe not the best thing to do. I'm not saying you got to park a mile away,
No.
but find these barriers that you can use.
A light pole,
Yeah, or
like you said, cart
those
return.
security cop cameras that they put in the parking lots.
Absolutely.
Parking under light poles are a really good one, especially when you're at a hotel. Park under the light poles. And also, I think another thing, Brad does this. I know law enforcement officers do this, but having a secondary key fob with you for your vehicle, I think might be useful. I've actually been thinking about doing it myself. Haven't done it yet, but what are your thoughts on that? Of having, say you put your kid in the car seat and you've got to say you're not near a cart return and you've got to take the cart a little bit. Obviously, you don't want them in there with the doors unlocked, and you don't want to lock yourself out. So having a secondary thing where the car can be running, and if you do have to return a cart or if you're in the back putting groceries up or something,
Well, that would probably be the only time that I would not be upset with someone for not returning a cart.
sure, yeah,
Right. So don't feel guilty about leaving a cart maybe in a spot beside you if
yeah,
you've put in a 1-year-old in the back seat of your car.
absolutely,
Leaving a child in a car unattended and you separating yourself, that exposes you to a problem. It
yeah,
also exposes that child to a potential problem if the car
absolutely,
is not locked. The secondary key fob, obviously, I mean, if the car gets locked and you need a backup way to get in there,
right, right,
it's a way to do it.
right,
But the thing is that maintain a focus of what is happening around you. Position yourself to its most advantageous when it's not locked into a limited field of view. You want it to be as wide open as possible,
yeah,
so you can park, in close to the bicycle parking area, the motorcycles,
right,
as opposed to larger vehicles.
yeah,
But and you can address these things and experience it on your own, but you will change your approach to doing things if you're more aware of what's going on around you.
right,
So wherever you are right now as an adult, if you would just take one day to consciously say, I'm going to sit in my car for 10 seconds before I get out.
yep,
I'm going to stand at the front of the grocery store for 10 seconds and scan the parking lot before I walk to my car.
yep,
If you do that, you're going to start seeing things like, man, I'd have missed that if I
absolutely,
hadn't have stopped. And
absolutely,
now you add your child in the car, so it just heightens the level of consciousness up even more.
yeah. And I'll even, say Rachel, say I'm somewhere in a different city and she's got to go grocery shopping. We have a rule, obviously, that's during the day, especially now she's got baby boy. We ain't doing it at night, right?
Yep.
But we have this thing we do like where if she's checking out, about to walk out of the grocery store, some people it's like, oh, we'll stay on the phone and all those things, but that she's got a baby with her, and her being on the phone with me is taking more of her
Right.
attention. So what we do is I say, all right, let me know when you're in the car, like in all that stuff, and I've got her Life 360, all that jazz.
Correct.
But I think sometimes in that particular instance, when you've got a wife who is paying attention to the kids, having the husband on the phone may seem like a safety thing, but I think it sometimes be
Well,
too
the
much.
target or the bad guy doesn't know that she's not paying attention,
Right,
right? He sees someone on a phone, or they see someone on a phone, and they say, "Oh, there's that other mark."
right,
Their hands are occupied, baby and a phone.
right,
They're walking in dark to their
right,
car through a
right,
parking lot, and they're not paying attention.
right,
As opposed to they're on a live feed with their husband, so that they know they get to the car
right.
safely. You know, having your phone on an open line like that, and having the phone,
Yeah, laying somewhere.
yeah, in your
Sure,
pocket and
sure.
on and active until you get to the car,
Yeah,
that would be a side work.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I think as we're wrapping it up here, I think this has been phenomenal content, by the
I
way.
hope feel like I've been rambling a
They're
little
gonna
bit.
be in the comments. They're gonna be like, "Hey, this is so good." I think it's phenomenal content for parents, and it's a starting point, right? I'm sure we could talk 2 hours about this, but that's not what we're here to do. So this isn't one of our trainings where we're training all day, PowerPoint and all these things. So I think it's a good foundation for parents. And parents, you just have to realize that it may seem like a lot, but if you just start today, like he said, the whole just sitting there 10 seconds and paying attention. If you just start today, that gets this ball rolling. The hardest thing sometimes is starting. If you just start, and then it'll flow down to your kids, teach them well, and there'll be kids that see what's around them, kids that are a lot less likely to be victim to someone doing something like that. So, and listen, any last little golden nuggets before we end it?
I mean, the big thing, if you're the parent, you're not their friend,
Yeah,
right? You have a parental responsibility to keep your child safe, you feed your child, and provide them the best opportunity in life as possible.
right,
You're not supposed to be their friend. That'll happen later on in life.
right,
But one thing I would say is that there is no victim of a crime that thought that they would be a victim of a crime.
right,
And a little situational awareness could avoid a tremendous amount of heartache, not only for yourself, but for your family.
right.
So take that 5 seconds. When you park your car in a parking lot, take that 5 seconds just to do a little quick look around, and you'll start seeing things that you would have never caught.
Yeah,
And teach your child the baseline. What what should the baseline of an area be? And if it's different, react to it and
yeah,
get out of it.
yeah. Absolutely. Well, Keith, I want to thank you for being on
This has
here.
been fun for my very first podcast ever.
Hey, y'all let him know how good he did. So, listen, thank you for listening to the Familial Paradox podcast. We had an awesome time. This was a cool conversation.
Enjoyed it.
And, maybe we'll have to have you back one day. But for the parents, all you have to know is I know that a lot of things out there are unknown. You see a lot about predators, you see a lot about trafficking, but I hope this encourages you to learn and to stand up for your kids, because the only thing standing between your kids and the unknown currently is you. Thank you for listening.